Deep in a land where the maps have no names, there's a forest called the Whispering Woods, a place of soft sounds and gentle secrets. Every morning, as the sun peeks over the hills, the woods are covered in magical dew, each droplet sparkling with rainbow light and quiet magic. The animals know this dew makes everything grow strong and beautiful, and the twisting paths lead to endless surprises. On a particularly sparkly morning, as the forest glittered with dew, a little creature with a bushy tail and bright eyes was about to make a very big promise. Our story begins with Flicker, a clever young fox who was known throughout the Whispering Woods for his quick thinking and kind heart. Flicker was not just any fox. He was curious about everything, always eager to learn, and loved making new friends among the woodland creatures. With his beautiful copper fur that gleamed in the sunlight and a white-tipped tail that looked like it had been dipped in fresh snow, Flicker was easy to spot as he darted through the trees. Every day, Flicker would set out to explore the deepest corners of the woods, sniffing out hidden trails, listening to the songs of the birds, and discovering secret places that only a fox as adventurous as he could find. The Whispering Woods were full of mysteries, and Flicker wanted to uncover them all. One bright morning, as the dew sparkled on the grass, Flicker heard a soft sobbing sound. Following the sound, he found Squeaky the mouse, his tiny friend, sitting beneath a big red and white toadstool, her whiskers trembling with sadness. Squeaky clutched her paws together and explained, through her tears, that she had lost her moon petal seed, a magical glowing seed that would grant her a special birthday wish if she could plant it under the falling stars that very night. She dropped it somewhere in the woods while gathering berries, and now, with the stars set to fall that night, she was afraid her one chance for a wish would be lost forever. Flicker listened carefully, his heart aching for his friend. He knew how much this wish meant to Squeaky. With a determined glint in his eye, Flicker knelt down and made a very big promise. "Don't worry, Squeaky. I'll find your moon petal seed before the first star falls tonight. You can count on me." Squeaky's eyes, which had been full of tears, now sparkled with hope and trust. She believed in Flicker, and that belief made Flicker feel braver than ever. Without wasting a moment, Flicker set off on his quest. He searched under every leaf, peeked behind every log, and sniffed along every winding path, determined not to miss a single clue. In the magical Whispering Woods, a promise was more than just words. It was a bond that filled the air with enchantment. As Flicker began his search, the woods themselves seemed to shimmer with anticipation, as if they too were rooting for him. The trees swayed gently, and a soft hum of excitement drifted through the leaves, as if the whole forest was whispering encouragement to Flicker on his important mission. With his heart beating with purpose and his mind focused on his promise, Flicker hurried into the golden morning light, ready to do whatever it took to help his friend and keep his very big promise. Flicker's first stop was Barnaby Badger's burrow beneath a giant oak. Barnaby, always grumpy and busy polishing his stone collection, peered out suspiciously. Flicker asked if he'd seen a tiny moon petal seed roll by. Barnaby grumbled about stones, not seeds, but Flicker cleverly mentioned seeing a rare glimmering stone near the river. Barnaby's interest piqued. He admitted seeing something small and grey roll toward the river that morning. "Probably right into the water," he muttered, already thinking about the stone. Flicker thanked him and hurried off, grateful for the clue. Even the grumpiest creatures could help if you knew what mattered to them. The promise to Squeaky felt like a warm stone in Flicker's heart, pushing him forward. The river was his next destination. The woods whispered encouragement as he ran. Flicker's determination grew with every step. The adventure was far from over. Flicker padded softly along the winding path, his ears perked and nose twitching with excitement, until he reached the legendary river of singing fish. The water here sparkled like 1,000 tiny stars, sunlight dancing across its surface and casting rippling patterns onto the mossy banks. The gentle sound of the river was joined by something magical, an enchanting chorus of fish, their scales glinting as they sang in silvery voices that seemed to float on the breeze. The fish leapt and twirled, their songs weaving together in a melody that filled the air with wonder. Flicker paused to listen, his heart lifting at the beauty of the moment, before remembering his quest. He searched the riverbank carefully, peering under smooth stones and sniffing at tufts of grass, hoping to spot the precious seed. But no matter how closely he looked, there was nothing unusual to be found. Just then, a blue-scaled fish with sparkling fins swam close to the shore and called out in a friendly voice, "Hello, little fox! What brings you to our river today?" Flicker explained his search for the missing seed, sharing his story with the curious fish, who listened intently, nodding along as the fox spoke. The blue fish shook its head gently, sending ripples through the water. "I'm sorry, I haven't seen any seed floating by," it said, its voice tinged with regret. "But perhaps old Bubbles, the wise old turtle who lives in the deep pool, might know something. He's seen many things drift by in his long life." Flicker's ears perked up with hope as he thanked the fish and padded over to the deep, shadowy pool at the river's bend. He picked up a smooth pebble and gently dropped it into the water, watching as the ripples spread out in widening circles, hoping to catch the old turtle's attention. Slowly, with a creak and a blink, the ancient turtle opened one wise eye, peering up at Flicker from beneath the water's surface. Flicker bowed his head politely and explained his quest, asking if old Bubbles had seen a small seed drifting by. The old turtle closed his eyes for a moment, thinking deeply. He rumbled. "I do remember something small and curious floating past my nose not long ago. It was carried by the tricky current, swirling and spinning as it went, almost as if the river itself was playing a game. I saw it get caught on a branch of the sunny-top tree, right where the sunlight touches the water," old Bubbles said, his voice slow and thoughtful. With a gentle sigh, the wise turtle closed his eyes again, drifting back into his peaceful rest beneath the water. Flicker looked up and spotted the sunny-top tree, its golden green branches dipping gracefully into the river, leaves shimmering in the sunlight. His heart leapt with joy as he realized the seed had been lifted out of the river and was now within reach. Flicker turned back to the pool and called out a grateful thank you to old Bubbles, who gave a slow, contented nod. Without wasting a moment, Flicker dashed through the soft grass, his tail streaming behind him, racing toward the sunny-top tree and the next step of his adventure. The next clue was hidden high above, nestled among the sunlit branches, waiting for a clever fox to find it. With hope shining in his eyes and determination in his heart, Flicker pressed on, ready for whatever the river's song would lead him to next. The sunny-top tree was the tallest in the woods, its leafy crown brushing the clouds and its trunk so wide that even 3 foxes holding paws couldn't reach around it. High above the forest floor, nestled among the swaying branches, lived a lively family of squirrels. These squirrels were famous throughout the woods for their endless energy and their love of collecting treasures, anything shiny, curious, or rare that caught their bright eyes. Their chattering could be heard from dawn until dusk, echoing through the leaves as they darted from branch to branch, always on the lookout for their next great find. Flicker, the clever fox, arrived at the base of the sunny-top tree, craning his neck to spot the squirrel's nest. It was a jumble of twigs, leaves, and shiny objects, perched right where a thick branch dipped out over the sparkling river below. The nest looked chaotic, but to the squirrels, it was a treasure trove and a fortress. Flicker called up, his voice carrying through the branches, "Hello up there!" But the squirrels were far too busy to notice. They were sorting through their latest collection, acorns, feathers, bits of colored glass, and even a lost button or two. Their tiny paws moved quickly, and their focus was absolute. To them, every object had a story, and they weren't about to be distracted. Flicker sat back on his haunches, thinking hard. He knew the squirrels wouldn't part with anything special unless he had something truly dazzling to offer in return. He glanced around, searching for inspiration, his mind racing through all the stories he'd heard about the squirrel's favorite things. Suddenly, he remembered Barnaby's glimmering stone, the magical, glowing pebble he'd seen by the riverbank earlier that morning. Without wasting a moment, Flicker dashed off, his paws barely touching the ground as he raced along the river's edge. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and soon enough, he spotted the stone, glowing faintly among the pebbles. He scooped it up gently and hurried back to the tree, heart pounding with hope. "Squirrels! I have a treasure for you!" Flicker called, his voice ringing with excitement. He placed the glimmering stone in a patch of sunlight at the base of the tree, where its surface caught the light and shimmered with every color of the rainbow. The stone sparkled so brightly that even the birds paused to look. The squirrels froze mid-chatter, their noses twitching. In a flash, they scampered down the trunk, their bushy tails flicking with excitement. They circled the stone, eyes wide with wonder, completely mesmerized by its magical glow. It was unlike anything they'd ever seen. Flicker smiled and gently nudged the stone toward them. "Would you trade this for the tiny gray seed you found on your branch?" he asked. The squirrels huddled together, whispering and chittering, then nodded eagerly. To them, the glimmering stone was the greatest treasure yet. One nimble squirrel zipped up the tree, vanishing into the nest. Moments later, it returned, carefully carrying a small gray seed in its mouth, the moon petal seed Flicker had been searching for. The other squirrels watched, proud to be part of such an important exchange. Flicker accepted the seed with a grateful bow, his heart leaping with joy. He had done it. The moon petal seed was finally his, and he could almost imagine the beautiful flower it would one day become. But just as Flicker turned to leave, his ears perked up at a sudden, desperate cry from the direction of the tangly thicket. The sound was faint but urgent, echoing through the trees and making his fur stand on end. Flicker paused, torn between his excitement and his sense of duty. He knew he had made a promise to help anyone in need, and he couldn't ignore a call for help, not even now, with the precious seed finally in his grasp. With a determined breath, Flicker tucked the moon petal seed safely in his mouth and hurried towards the sound, ready to help, no matter what awaited him in the tangly thicket. Flicker found a young rabbit named Pip tangled in thorny vines. He gently freed Pip, who thanked him gratefully. Flicker picked up the seed, ready to hurry back, but Pip offered a shortcut through the sleepy bear's cave. It was risky, but the sun was sinking fast. Flicker agreed, determined to keep his promise. Together, they dashed toward the cave, hoping to save time. Pip led Flicker into Bartholomew Bear's cave, where the giant bear snored in a mossy heap. They tiptoed past, holding their breath, but Pip slipped on a pebble. Clatter! The bear's snore stopped. An ear twitched, and a low growl rumbled. Flicker grabbed Pip, and they bolted, escaping just as a sleepy roar echoed behind them. Out in the open, they didn't stop running until the cave was far behind. Flicker still had the moon petal seed, but the first stars were beginning to appear. The shortcut had worked, but just barely. The promise was almost kept. Pip and Flicker raced for the Sundapple clearing. The sky glowed with the first hints of night. The adventure was reaching its end. Flicker's heart pounded with hope and urgency. The moment of truth was near. Flicker and Pip burst into the Sundapple clearing as the first star twinkled above. Squeaky waited, hope shining in her eyes. Flicker placed the moon petal seed before her. He'd kept his promise. Squeaky's joy was matched only by the beauty of the falling stars streaking across the sky. She planted the seed, and together they watched as it glowed, sprouted, and bloomed into a flower of moonlight. The magical flower shimmered, lighting up the clearing. Squeaky closed her eyes and whispered her birthday wish. The flower pulsed with gentle magic, then faded as its petals closed. The friends sat in awe, surrounded by starlight and wonder. Flicker's promise had brought magic to life. Squeaky beamed with happiness and thanked Flicker for his bravery and kindness. Pip asked about her wish, but Squeaky only smiled and shared acorn cap cupcakes with her new friends. The three sat together, watching the last falling stars and savoring their magical night. Flicker realized that keeping a promise was the greatest adventure of all. From that day, Flicker, Squeaky, and Pip explored the woods together, their friendship as magical as the Whispering Woods itself. Flicker was now known as the fox who always kept his promises. The forest hummed with approval, its magic a little brighter, and so, one small fox's promise made the whole woods a happier place.